From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN Noon News.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us on your MTN Statewide News this Monday. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Well, Election Day is tomorrow, and the candidates are doing what they can today to make their final pitches to voters. Skylar Henry has more details from the White House.
Ohio, one more day.
Joe Biden and President Trump plan to spend their last day of campaigning rallying supporters in battleground states. The president is kicking off his final day in North Carolina, where he's predicting a red wave of support at the polls tomorrow.
Just take a little time and vote. Vote. We got to win this state. I think we win this state. We win Pennsylvania. We're going to win Florida.
The president is holding 5 rallies today in 4 battleground states, while Biden will hold 3 rallies in Ohio and Pennsylvania.
My message is simple. The power to change the country is in your hands.
Biden is sticking to his message that he's the best candidate to lead the country during the coronavirus pandemic.
Last night, Trump said he was going to fire Dr. Fauci. Isn't that wonderful? I got a better idea. Elect me and I'm going to hire Dr. Fauci.
President Trump continues to downplay the pandemic as scientists say it will get worse with colder weather.
We got hit by the plague from China, and we will never forget it. With God as my witness, I will never let you down.
More than 94 million Americans have already voted, and both campaigns are already fighting in the courts over mail-in ballots, which could sway the election outcome. The president says his lawyers will swoop in as soon as the polls close tomorrow.
I've seen people where an election got stolen. And by the way, we're not going to let that happen to us, with these ballots.
Presidents don't determine who gets to vote. Voters determine who's going to be the president.
Biden is promising to have plenty of lawyers on hand to make sure all of the votes are counted. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Now, the fight over ballots has already been playing out in the courts in just about every battleground state, including Montana, with some of those cases already being appealed to the Supreme Court. Well, a judge is forcing the U.S. Postal Service to comply with what's being called extraordinary measures for ballot delivery. Today, the USPS must remind staff across the country to use the express mail network for ballots traveling a long distance. The ruling states local ballots must reach their destinations the same day or the next morning. Still, some states will count ballots after that arrival date of Election Day if they're postmarked on or before it. Now, the judge is imposing additional measures in some battleground states. On the local front, spending on Montana's U.S. Senate race broke records for a state campaign more than a month ago and now has surpassed a stunning $160 million by both candidates and nearly 60 outside groups. Bullock has raised an astonishing $43 million in just 7 months, while the Daines campaign has taken in $27 million. Bullock and Daines are also getting millions of dollars from donors all across the country. Now, most polls have shown the race to be extremely close with no clear favorite. Now, also breaking news just as of right before noon today, Montana voters broke the state record for total votes cast in a statewide Montana election. That number, more than 517,000 votes in so far. Now, polls will open again across the state at 7 a.m. tomorrow for same-day registration and voting until 8 p.m. Well, Montana surpasses 400 COVID-19 related deaths today. MTN reports that number has reached 405. The weekend deaths include 2 in Yellowstone County, 2 in Toole County, and 1 in Marr County. Nationwide coronavirus cases are now on the rise in 44 of the 50 states. Well, starting today, Bozeman pre-K through 5th grade students return to full-time in-person learning. Now, this comes after 2 different school board meetings were canceled and as COVID numbers rise across that community. As of last week, 44 teachers had signed a letter to school board trustees asking them to reconsider the transition from the blended model back to in-person classes. It's an issue split in 2 main directions, with some parents, not the majority, concerned that they wanted to use the 2 meetings to voice public concerns about rising virus numbers in the state and county. Well, Missoula's new emergency winter shelter is now open. The facility on Johnson Street can sleep 150 people. City officials call this a necessity after COVID-19 precautions cut down capacity at the Poverillo Center. If you or someone you know needs a place to stay in Missoula, there are resources. For families with children, the YWCA has an emergency hotel voucher program. The vouchers are weather dependent, only available if the temperature is 32 degrees or below. To pick up a voucher, go to the YWCA at 1130 West Broadway or call there. For adults, there are now 2 emergency shelter locations in town. To check in at the new location, go to 1919 North Avenue West. For questions, contact the Poverillo Center. Well, the historic Grand Union Hotel in Fort Benton is now on the market for $1.7 million. It's Montana's oldest operating hotel and a state and national landmark, completed in 1882. Once proclaimed to be the finest hotel between St. Louis and Seattle, the hotel was built during the height of the Fort Benton's heyday. Standing on the banks of the Missouri River, it features 26 guest rooms and suites, a fine dining restaurant, and a saloon serving premium Montana brews and wines. From 1995 to 1999, the hotel underwent a large renovation, earning awards for restoring the historic landmark back to its original beauty. Still ahead on today's new news, while many of you were grabbing those trick-or-treat bags, others were grabbing gear to hit the slopes. One Montana ski area opened for business over the weekend and made history. But first, meteorologist Ed McIntosh is in next with your statewide weather forecast.